One of my things is, fail forward. To fail forward, to be able to learn, and my successes are celebrated, but my failures are the most accepted for me and the most tolerated thing. That I like to do things and it doesn't work because one, I learn. Outside of learning, I'm experiencing something. There was something along this that now I have different tools. I have different outlooks, different understanding. Being able to tell somebody what works is just as important as being able to tell somebody what doesn't work. And so with that, it goes, people are gonna have bright ideas all the time. I always have bright ideas of how something could work. It'll triple down because my recession-proof mindset is I should be able to benefit 3 or 4 ways from everything that I'm involved with and everything that I touch.
Whether you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. This is Wisdom Stripes. Hi friends. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment and share something important. The views expressed by my guests are their own and may not necessarily reflect mine or those of this platform. My intention with every episode is to create a space where we can explore diverse perspectives, life experiences, and belief systems together. I truly believe that wisdom lives everywhere, and often we find it in the places we least expect, especially in those whose experiences and beliefs are very different from our own. Not every episode will challenge you, but some might, and that's okay. Growth often comes when we lean into discomfort and allow ourselves to see the world through someone else's eyes. As you listen, I encourage you to stay curious, think critically, and keep an open mind. More than anything, I hope these conversations inspire you to reflect on your own perspectives and maybe even see the world a little differently. These dialogues aren't always easy, but they're often the ones that spark the biggest growth for all of us. Thank you for being here with me and for continuing to show up for these conversations. It means so much to me. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Wisdom Stripes. My name is Meg Tuohey, and in today's episode, we will explore the intersections of financial empowerment, entrepreneurship, and the transformative impact of literacy, financial literacy, that is. Our guest today is Marcus Barney, also known as Him 500. He is a wealth strategist, financial coach, and the founder of the Recession-Proof program, a multi-million-dollar initiative that has helped over 10,000 people get out of debt, build wealth, and step into entrepreneurship with confidence. Marcus is a leader in the financial literacy movement within the African American community, teaching strategies around credit repair, personal and business funding, and investment. But beyond the numbers and success stories, there is a deeper mission, a calling to close the wealth gap, empower individuals to reclaim their financial futures, and foster generational change. To share his insights on wealth building, his journey from humble beginnings to multi-million-dollar ventures, and the wisdom he's gained along the way, I'm honored to welcome Marcus to today's episode. This is Wisdom Stripes, your no-nonsense, fierce fairy godparents turning pain and confusion into clarity and confidence. Marcus, we always start with the same question for our guests. What wisdom would you like a listener to come away with today?
That experience is the best teacher you will ever be able to learn from.
So if we're going to start there, one might guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have a wealth of experience given what you've created and who you've grown into becoming. So if experience is the greatest teacher, tell us about the experiences you've had.
In life, so many different experiences. And I think that in order for me to grow and anybody to be able to grow and achieve growth, it's not the experiences that it goes into making money, right? And a lot of people see me because of what I've been able to build and accomplish. But I've been able to look back at experiences of one of my biggest monumental turning points in my life. I was 18, I got my real estate license, right? But growing up, I had an uncle named Ty, and he had one eye, and they called him One-Eye Ty. He lost his eye at 6 years old, right? And he was very funny because he had to learn how to crack jokes and deal with the fact that he had one eye. And so he was very charismatic, the most charismatic in the family. Everybody loves him, right? Funny guy. But I never forget is that one day we were somewhere. We were in like a grocery store, and we were out, and he was just like, you know what? I get a little uncomfortable in certain environments. And just frank, he said, you know, I get uncomfortable around white people. And I said, okay. And he's like talking to things like that. It didn't really resonate or sit. It's like, okay, I didn't know it was a thing, right? For me, it didn't matter. Boom. At 18 years old, I got my real estate license. And I remember at 18 getting my real estate license. And when I got my real estate license, I had a broker named Reginald Sylvester. And Reginald we went to a bank one day, and I seen him walk into the bank. He had, at this point now I'm wearing suits and things like that. But he walked into the actual bank, and I seen how everybody was receptive to him. And I seen how he was well respected. The same way in the office with us is the same way he conducted himself in the bank with other races. And I was like, wow. And at that moment I thought about it, and I said to myself, I said, you know what? I've internalized somebody else's traumas and insecurity because they didn't finish high school, and the traumas that they had, and always felt like somebody was looking at them and wouldn't understand them, and it internalized in me. And at that moment, I realized as a young man that, you know what? It does not matter any environment that I go into, I'm still going to be me. I'm the confident person that I am. I'm going to exude my beliefs and my energy. And I always have to remember that in that it's okay to go in any environment. But that was a pivotal point for me, because then I started to realize what it was like wearing a suit, how you're treated, and being able to be respected, and being, reciprocated to understanding how energies is. And that was a real pivotal point for me to be able to look back on years later and say, I'm comfortable in any environment I am now. I do so many different business deals, and the things that I do is because of a realization I had at 18 years old.
That is a very powerful statement, because as children, when we're around our close-knit family and friends, we assimilate into the culture and beliefs of the family structure or system. And so it's very reasonable that that belief or understanding was transmuted into your view of the world.
Yes.
Very reasonable. And what I love is that as you were walking into the bank with Reginald, you had that experience of recognizing that you could challenge that belief because you had evidence that showed that there was something different available to look at the world through from a different set of lenses or a different perspective.
Yes.
And I love that you then upgraded your beliefs to expand into the beginnings of what you then grew into, which is somebody who isn't hindered by that family-based lived experience, which was true. You grew out of that.
Yes.
And expanded probably well beyond what that was.
Much further.
Much further.
Yes.
But I very much appreciate you illustrating the journey from that point all the way through.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. No, and I think that's one of the things that in life I'm able to look back, because sometimes it's a lot of different moments that we have, but we'll go back, and it's common to say, hey, go back and look to heal your past traumas. But we don't go back and identify things that were contributors to who we are and the good things that we have and our good attributes. At 18 years old, same thing, real estate, right? I got my real estate license at 18. My broker at the time told me if I wanted to pass the test, get rid of my TV. 18 years old, it was 12 people in my real estate class. I went, took the TV out of my room, put it in the garage. He asked, like, who all got rid of their TV? People was like, I just don't watch it as much. Boom, boom, boom. That wasn't the assignment. He said, get rid of your TV. I'm the only person who got rid of my TV. I'm the only person who passed. I understood that if I focus and lock in on something, I can accomplish it. That gave me, a sign of belief, right? And what I can accomplish by not being distracted, and also by following directions from somebody who's done it. if you follow the directions of somebody who's actually accomplished and experienced what you're trying to accomplish, if they tell you to do something and you listen and you're teachable, you will succeed. I've never had a TV in my house since. Until I had a family, I did not have a TV in my house. As a single man, I did not have TVs. Dating my wife, I did not have TVs, because I realized that this was something that was a roadblock. I look back at my success now and I can say his guidance got me my real estate license. But outside of that, his guidance made it okay and made me receptive to go and find other mentors, go and join other mentorships and learn from other people's experiences so I can be great. Learn from the people who've accomplished what I've done in order for me to be great. And I think that when I look at in the opening thing, when you said, well, what's one wisdom that I would pass, is that you learn from other people's experiences. It's the greatest things that we can do when somebody's experienced something that you want to accomplish. And it does not have an age. I have people who train me now on different things around social media, content creation. They're 21. I have people that are 26 that are, building out new community things for me. And why? Because they've experienced it. And experience doesn't have an age. You just have to remain teachable and have a belief in self that I can actually learn, and I have the discipline to apply the things that I'm taught and execute on them.
I love that so much. And we have a wide variety of ages on the Wisdom Strides podcast for that very reason, because wisdom can be earned at any age. And eldership is really important to me, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be 70 to have eldership. In your area of expertise, you can have eldership and leadership. And I feel like that is something that perhaps we don't question. We might think that you actually literally have to have your gray hair in order to be able to be wise.
Yes.
And I challenge that. I think you can grow wisdom at any age. And so long as it is something that you know to be true, it is useful to share it. And we can learn from anyone at any age and stage of life.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And that's one of the biggest things, is that I always want to position myself in a way that I grow, right? I tell people all the time, is that if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's just the reality of it. And it's like, hey, when I believe that I'm going to seek growth until I die. Like I want to be one of the dopest and best grandparents, great grandparents. I want to be great and figure out, how do I operate at this level?
Yeah.
And it's always a new level. But with it is that I don't think it goes how as a child and as an adolescent, I believe that one point that you think with age comes, you just going into a point of where you start to like die, right? As you get older. But nowadays, as I look at it, but you not just die, but you grow wiser. But now with technology, it's kind of almost in the thing is that if we don't evolve with technology, if we don't evolve with understanding the times, it's going to get harder for us quicker. It's going to age us out quicker to where I have to stay up to date with what's going on. I have to stay active and involved. It's not once I get 50 years old, oh, you know what? I can relax now. I made it to this point. I'm retiring and I'm going to sit it out, because I see people now at 50, 60 years old, and I see some people have TikToks, Instagram, they understand social media, understand podcasting, they understand business, they understand e-commerce, and they're very relative with what's going on because they stay active. I know people who are 40 who chose not to digest and jump into the social media and understanding computers and phones and things like that. And now their life is getting hard.
Yeah.
Life is getting hard. So one of the things with me is that I always want to continuously grow.
I do too. I am really curious about your mission and purpose. So it seems to me financial literacy is a really important piece of your drive, your light that you shine in the world, your reason for being. And probably there's more than just that, but let's focus on financial literacy. Why is Why is financial literacy so important to you, particularly within the African American community?
Because honestly, it's not about being undereducated. It's about being miseducated. And so a lot, when coming out of the communities that I come out of, we're miseducated. We're taught things like, hey, you should never get a credit. If you get a credit card, only use it for gas and, use it for gas and save it for emergency purposes only. And it's not that that's wrong, that's bad, or that we don't have information. We do have information, but that's the wrong information. It's not the information that we need, because there are so many more benefits to it. There are so many more ways to actually utilize it. And because we lack people who've experienced things and experienced success in business and experienced success in dealing with finances and actually navigating the waters, we don't have anybody to tell us from experience. We don't have anybody who's actually navigating, shows us the benefits and corrects the misinformation that we do have. See, you could think that is that information okay? It is at surface level, but when you realize is that I want to actually attain wealth, I want to actually be financially free and financially stable, you have to have the proper education in place. And if you don't have the proper education in place, you lose. And so when you deal in miseducation, it goes, well, I thought this was right because it's what you were taught. And it two things can be true at the same time. Yes, that's true. You should have a credit card for emergency purposes, and you should have a credit card where you do put gas. But there's credit cards that you should have for emergencies, and there's credit cards you should have for gas. And there's credit cards you should have for travel. There's credit cards that you should have for reward points, and that come with benefits and perks, and how to utilize them to, help eliminate, overhead expenses and drop down your overhead expenses from properly using them. So there's a lot that goes into it, from travel, and so and be able to generate cash. Like, there's a lot of things that we can do with it, but we only learn two things that does not help us propel to the next level. So then it's useless. So I should worry about having good credit to what? Only accumulate debt? Because the only thing that most people in my community are taught is to get credit for a car and a house. That's only to make somebody else rich. To pay interest on a vehicle, to pay interest on a mortgage, which contributes to the bank and into the banking system. And now we're paying tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest to help somebody else build wealth financially. And we don't see the benefit or perk of it. So we have to start. My thing is that I want people to understand how to properly benefit from these institutions and these benefits and perks to be able to grow and actually achieve freedom, and not only operate in a way of, hey, what we've been miseducated on.
So I'm really curious, because we remember you said experience is the thing that teaches you.
Yes.
So if you can teach that level of detail, strategy, structure for such a broad, vast, cool audience, I'm really curious about how you gained the wisdom to learn what it is that you teach. Who taught you, or how did you learn and come across that?
Experience. I went bad business deals, right? Well, not bad business deals, great business opportunities that I could not maintain. No business has high season all year consecutively. And when I would run into roadblocks or hardships, I wouldn't have a savings. I would only have cash. And when I depleted my cash, I'm out of business, right? And I did that 2 or 3 times, and I started to figure out, somebody presented me with an opportunity for a real estate deal, and I couldn't take advantage of it. I remember I got one house, was like $17,000. Now the house is worth like $400,000, right? And I'm like, okay, good deal, right? But what happens next is that I then go with a bigger deal where I could have got for $200,000. Well, I didn't have the capital. Nor did I have access to it. So that's when I realized, okay, how do if I go and get and learn this credit system, how do I benefit from it? And so I knew I would have to work and build the report up. And so I'm trying to study, how do I get good credit limits and things like that. So once I figured out, okay, this is everything I have to do to build my report how it needs to be. These are great credit cards. but what's the benefit of them? How do I make money from them? And so I started doing things like adding people on as authorized users to my credit card and actually charging them for it. So now to add you on and give you access to my credit card, I would charge you for it. Well, guess what happens? Now I'm generating income. I'm not going into debt. Then I said, okay, what are these reward systems, these reward points? See all these guys traveling, free flight, first class flight. I said, okay, that's amazing. So I don't really care about traveling as I'm a business owner. It's not my thing. It's not my biggest factor. I'm trying to get away from poverty. And I learned how to use the reward points to pay for groceries, toiletries, and my utility bills. Meaning now, as I operate my business, I get to keep more money because my personal expenses aren't drowning me out. Okay, so now this is worth playing with. But this is the part where I started learning and going, I was learning this for me. I got to a point I said, okay, well, if I can get 500 grand, a million, 500,000 or $1 million in lines of credit, if I had 10 people do the same thing, we'd be a force to be reckoned with. So I said, I want to help 10 people do these things, and let me show you what I do and how I do it. Telling somebody, hey, I can help you get access to credit, help you build your business, help you do these things. And my hopes is back in, we're going to do deals together. We'll be able to go out and build businesses and do stuff together as a pack. Well, everybody has different callings. Everybody has a different wants, needs, and desires. And so since people had different wants, needs, and desires, guess what happened? Out of my 10, I may have 1 or 2 people that was committed. So I said, okay, let me try a second 10. And people still wanted to join. I said, hey, I got a spot for 10 people. If you want to join my, it wasn't even called a mentorship, just join my group and I'm going to show you this. That second 10 started to create enough chaos to generate a third 10, a fourth 10, and I fast forward now and it's over 10,000 members in my community. We do conferences, free to the members, events, 26 chapters across the United States. And this all started from me having an eager urge to go, I'm tired of losing in business and I'm tired of missing deals. I want to make money. I want to use credit cards, but there's no way I'm finna focus and spend my time and energy on credit. And the only benefit of it is giving y'all the money back and paying interest. And now we're here.
So I've had the pleasure of observing you now for about 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I am starting to figure out a few things about you. Okay. I wonder if I might test some hypotheses with you. Okay. Very happy to be wrong. Very happy to engage in a conversation. Okay. Your beautiful brain, he loves a system. You love systems. You like hacking systems. You like designing systems. You like reverse engineering systems. And you like monetizing systems. And you like making the system higher and higher and higher performance-based, like super engineering. Have I got that right?
It's an important word you said there that I caught is like engineering. That was the thing I was going to major in college before going out and navigating this world. But no, 100%. And I think that it's amazing. I don't know if you was on my Instagram live last night or if you really just read that.
No, I have never ever looked you up. I don't look up any of my guests before they come.
So one of the great things is that literally last night, and when I was telling one of my staff members is that one monkey don't stop no show.
One monkey?
Don't stop no show.
Okay.
Meaning one monkey, one person can never stop what I've built. One person should never be able to stop the operations of a business. Literally and I explained it, I said, listen to it. Most people, when they build a business out, is that I don't want anybody to have a job where they do something and everybody has to rely on them to do it. And we don't have If you died, if you quit, if you walked away, everything stops.
Oh, yeah.
Some people get into a position where they got one team member and they don't have anything set up in place. So I was explaining, I said, I like to build a system to where when I bring somebody on my team, I want you to be able to improve what we have, but I don't need you to say, I'll just do it and tackle it. I need you to break down the steps of what has to be done, set the foundations and set the parameters and timeframes and things like that, and give the examples of what we need to do. And now if, let's just say it was developing graphics or content and we're upping it, set the frame of what the employee who's responsible for creating graphics does. If you're the person who's going to be the creative and create the visualization of what needs to go out and what we want it to look like, somebody else has to be able to film it and shoot it and produce it. Somebody else needs to create content and graphics that's going to contribute to it. But I don't need you to do all of them. That's three things that if you go, I'm done. If my graphic designer goes, guess what? I have a trainual system that walks through every single thing that he does. Every single thing that you need him to do and rely on him to do, it's in trainual. So if my graphic designer goes, all I have to do is find somebody with enough skill set to come in and follow the guidelines and steps. There's never going to be, and it goes for my different executives, my board members, my COOs, my HR. Everybody has an operation of which they operate in. But if you had to go, we have it outlined exactly what you do, exactly what your roles and responsibilities are. This helps us skyline and go to the next level. But these are things that I had to learn to experience and put into my business, because I had one employee at one time and we had a great flow. We made great money. And then it was time for them to transition out and I was in trouble.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at going, what did you do? What was the password for this? And so I look and I go, oh, these are things that I didn't think about because I didn't experience it yet. And so now one of my biggest things is that anytime in business is that make it make sense and put the proper workflows and put proper systems in place. I used to pay, as a good one, I used to pay on social media. I had people in my DMs that would answer all my DMs. I would pay them $2,500 a month, 2 people. I paid somebody to manage them somebody else to call all of my users, everybody who would buy my programs and buy my things. I would give them $5,000 a month. Their only job was to call users, ask them, did they get everything? What do they need? Point them in the right directions, get them settled. Then I had somebody who would check and make sure their processes were right. So you imagine that I'm paying $2,500 for 2 people. That's whenever somebody's inbound and calling, you answering DMs, you're talking, and you're calling and you're doing closing. Fine. You guys both are in profitable positions. You ensure that whatever these people sold them, that they got the good stuff, right? I went and I found 3 apps that eliminated with those 3 salaries. It was 2 people, and then there was a 3rd person to manage them. Over $150,000 a year saved me, and I went and got apps for $1,500 a month. Pay somebody else $750 a month. $750 on apps, and I paid somebody $1,500 a month to manage the apps. And it's like, this is when I say with technology, we continue to grow. I saved myself over $120,000 a year in revenue by identifying, building out the system. If I wouldn't have had the system of what was needed in place, I wouldn't be able to improve on it. So once I was able to improve on it, automatically, sometimes in businesses that it's not you need to make more money. Sometimes you need to lower your income. Lower your expenses, lower the cost. I made myself $120,000 extra a year by finding these softwares. But these are things that for me, I like it. Like, oh yeah, fine. Let me figure this out and make it make sense and make it work in my favor.
Hey there, Meg Tuohey here with a quick and exciting announcement. As a psychologist, coach, and founder of the Wisdom Lab, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals break free from the vicious cycles holding them back and tap into their infinite inner wisdom. If you're tired of feeling unheard, unseen, and stuck in the same old struggles, the Wisdom Lab is the breakthrough you've been yearning for. This on-demand program guides you through a powerful process to shatter emotional barriers, overcome deep-rooted blocks, and experience the profound transformation you deserve. In just 4 hours, you'll gain the tools and insights to revolutionize your life from the inside out. Want to learn more? Click or tap the link in the show notes for all the details. Okay, now back to the episode. So the systematic nature of that beautiful brain of yours loves an efficiency, loves a documented process,
Yes,
and thrives on deconstructing something, re-engineering it to make it its most ultra-performing version. And I can hear that you repeat or you revisit the systems. You don't just set and forget. You'll circle back as the world moves.
yes.
All right. So now we know that that beautiful brain of yours loves the engineering process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, engineers are known for the idea that feedback or failure doesn't bother them. It's just one part of designing a process that ultimately works incredibly well. So this system didn't work, data point, move on. This system didn't work, but this little bit did. Let's try this bit with something else. And that's the engineering kind of prototype. My question to you is, do you find that you mind failure or feedback?
No, I like failure. So one of my things is, fail forward.
Fail forward.
And it's just always, I forgot what book that came out of, but is to fail forward, to be able to learn. And my successes are celebrated, but my failures are the most accepted for me and the most tolerated thing that I can, like, I like to do things and it doesn't work because one, I learn, but outside of learning, I'm experiencing something. There was something along this that now I have different tools. I have different outlooks, different understanding. Being able to tell somebody what works is just as important as being able to tell somebody what doesn't work. And so with that, it goes, people are going to have bright ideas all the time. I always have bright ideas of how something could work, and I can do this with this, and it'll triple down. Because with recession-proof, my recession-proof mindset is I should be able to benefit 3 or 4 ways from everything that I'm involved with and everything that I touch.
Could you say that sentence again slowly?
My recession-proof mindset and mantra is everything that I build and everything that I touch should have 4 benefits. So in business, anything that I'm involved with in business has 4 benefits. It should make me money 4 ways, 3 to 4 ways, everything, or I don't do it.
Could we have an example?
If I look at a credit card and I say, the credit card is going to help me invest in my business to make me money. I can use this capital. Boom. This credit card is going to help me with reward points to eliminate my overhead. Boom. This credit card is going to add for authorized users to generate me cash flow. Boom. So now, and this credit card is also a safety net just in case I don't fail. So not only will it service me when business is working and everything is going, it'll be the gas to help me take off. But when business is failing, it's also my safety net and my parachute when cash flow and capital isn't in place. It's 4 benefits. I do events, conferences. People go, well, why do you do conferences in your community? Well, one, I understand the integrity of having people together and what socializing does, right? When people come and socialize, have the most time experiences, they stay connected to you, build the community up. Well, it also creates FOMO on social media, and I'm creating legendary moments. And it's like, wow, why can't I be a part of that, right? So for my events, they're free, but I'll have Magic Johnson, Ed Milet, David Goggins. So all of these cool, Floyd Mayweather, you got all of these cool people here, right? And it's going, wow, I can't get in unless I'm a member. Well, it's $2,500, $5,000 to be a member. I want to be a member, right? Cool. So people want to be members, drive sales up. But it also builds community while also creating people wanting to be here and drive sales up. Well, at the same time, sponsors come in, vendors come in, places come in where I make money off of it. I put people on the stage like a Floyd Mayweather. I get Floyd Mayweather, he's going to bring everybody out. I'll get a podcast like $1 Million Worth of Game, and they'll come and interview Floyd Mayweather instead of me sitting on the stage with him at the same time. Well, now I create a legendary moment, personable for us, but this podcast is going to put it out. Well, I know that I'm not going to have a regular guest. I need a superstar guest. Well, now this podcast gets 5 million views. My ask for creating this podcast and relationship was, can I put an advertisement in your podcast? Can I have an ad in this podcast with Floyd Mayweather since I'm running it together? Who says no? Now I have a reach, and now my advertisement for an event at my personal event, closed off private event, now gets 5 million views. Helps me drive traffic and brand awareness. So it's a way where I'm always thinking about, how can I be recession-proof? How am I always thinking 3 or 4 benefits off of everything that I do? So when I go into business, the more things that I learn and experience or lose or failures that I have, the beautiful part about having these failures is that, okay, I may have failed, but I took something out of there. 1 thing worked. 2 things may have worked. It may not have worked on all 3 or 4 cylinders. Something worked, and it'll be contributed to something else. And that's realistically, like, you know, just how I work and operate.
You deeply enjoy what you do.
Yes.
I can read it in every fiber of your being. Mm-hmm. And I can't help but notice when you talk about your strategies for 3 to 4 or 5 different ways each thing works for you, that systematic brain, just loving, finding all of the most peak performing strategies in every segment 4 or 5 times for each particular thing. And so now I'm going to put something else to you.
Okay.
It's potentially something you are really comfortable with, or it might feel like it comes out of left field. I actually can't tell.
Okay.
So I have another hypothesis for you.
Okay.
That beautiful brain of yours is what I would call a Ferrari brain. And what I mean by that is that it's in the realm of gifted, super clever, consumes relentless details and information in your passion projects, and then relentlessly synthesizes, updates, edits, merges everything within the systems and structures that you build.
I disagree.
I'm listening.
No, I'm joking. No, 100%. 100%. The hardest thing about that is that, as beautiful as those things are, getting it out and making sure that, like, everything relies, a lot of things rely and come back to me because I don't see anything it's not one dimensional. Oh, no. And so it's very hard. That's why I have to put everything in, like, what people have to do. And you have to listen when we talk, when we have meetings, you have to take notes, because where my brain is and at that moment and what I'm seeing, I may not be able to say why. I know why in my brain and operations, but it's like, okay, I have 3 or 4 moves based off of this, just do that. And it's like, oh, well, why didn't you say? I can't tell you everything that I'm seeing and understanding, and because I'm creating it. Mm-hmm. Like, this wasn't, it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it does not.
It's 1, I'm going to add in 3, I'm going to take away 4, and we only had 3. And it's going, they go, well, I don't, just wait till the outcome. Just wait till the outcome will make sense. And that's one of the things that, with me, is that 100%, you're 100% right with that.
It's these constellations that you see, and all of the constellations have constellations and galaxies within them. And it's this multi-universe of things that are constantly shifting, completely connected. And when one piece of information updates, the whole system ripples. And that you can transform that into standard operating procedures for your team, so that you build in efficiencies if you have a team member that resigns and you need to replace somebody. That level of system that you have built is not linear. It's not circular. It's some kind of other shape that refuses to have a name unless you can see the shape of it with that beautiful brain of yours.
No, I definitely can't.
It's pretty dynamic.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. It's that you pick up on it is out of everything to say, like, these are things that you do is 100% true.
All right. So now that we've got that beautiful brain somewhat mapped, I'm not going to at all say that I got it all, because I know better than to tell that to your beautiful self, because your beautiful brain will be all like, you're missing these pieces.
Got you.
But now that we've kind of agreed on those pieces, could you talk to us? We can see the benefits. We can see what you've built. We can see your success. We can see how fast you can move with that Ferrari. Talk to us about the downsides of living with that beautiful, clever Ferrari brain of yours.
The downsides. Communicating. Sometimes, right? Misunderstanding or dealing with people, right? On a personal level. Is today I had a conversation and I was explaining, like, two things can be right. I may have said one thing at one point, and it's true. But today, from this angle, I disagree.
With my dear self.
With myself. I know what I said.
Yeah.
I know the advice I gave. I know exactly how I feel and what. And that's one of the things within it, but also at the same time is that I have a capacity to move quickly and don't take anything personal.
Okay.
And I can eliminate people. Into where it's like, I'm not tied to any idea. I'm not tied to any business unless it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's business, people, anything. I can figure out, well, this is a problem. This is the solution.
Okay.
This is the next steps that need to be taken. And that's one of the things, is that sometimes it goes like, maybe I should sit and be able to sit in some things and operate in them a little bit more without.
Yeah. So wait a beat before you.
Yes. And I'm already thinking about the solution for anything that goes, and I don't allow. Sometimes with it, a problem isn't a problem. It could be identified as a problem to me.
Yeah.
And now that I've identified it as a problem, I'm looking for a solution.
Yeah.
And some people around me, so when it comes on a personal level, people are like, well, it wasn't that big of a problem. And it goes, doesn't matter how big the problem is, I'm gonna solve it.
Yeah.
I have a solution and I'm action-based.
Yeah.
And so that's realistically, it's like, you thought too deep into that, and it's like, sometimes I gotta like slow myself down and be like,
take a breath.
Yeah.
I have a question, another one, about the idea of a pause. So in those moments, is it really difficult to pause? Is the impulse to move and to be in action and to be in forward momentum really attractive? Does it kind of pull you forward?
It's a thing where mentally control.
Yeah.
And it's no matter what's going on, it has to be mentally, I have to understand what's operating.
Yeah.
And it's a control factor in there that goes like, before something shifts, like, it's crazy. This is a crazy realization, is that I was taught anytime when you get into a fight, and I get into a fight or get into any kind of altercation, or I'm wrestling with my brothers and things like that, right? I grew up, I got 3 brothers, right? Yeah. So we are always fighting and wrestling and doing stuff. But I know that if I keep them off balance, I'm the baby. But I'm very strategic. And I know if I can knock somebody off balance, I can just keep you moving.
You're on the back foot.
So now I know in life is that one thing I don't like being off balance.
Oh no.
And so it's going, I don't want anything to get me off balance, because then I don't have control.
Yeah. You like the power of being on the front foot.
Yes.
Not the back foot.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to the same question.
Okay.
Because I'm still super interested. I've got a curious brain myself.
Okay.
Just points in different directions to yours, maybe. I'm wondering about whether you find the pause difficult to execute, or if you find the pause irrelevant. or if you find the pause is in being on the front foot, or if it's something totally else.
I think I find it difficult to actually bring in and operate in.
Yeah.
To where it's like, you know what? Do I pause?
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
So it's like, but I think that honestly, and like I said, it comes from experiences and having conversations like this where you start to go and think about it. And go.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. Okay. So if you were to introduce the pause into your life, let's say 10% of the time, what difference would it give you, and what trajectory might that mean for you?
I don't know.
What would you guess?
So I got an issue with, it's like when we're guessing it first, it's like I'm one of the people, it's like, I'm gonna try it.
All right, let me rephrase. I didn't mean to hit that bit because I hear the engineer. Roger that.
Gotcha.
Backing up. If you were to apply the idea of the pause in your life, what are the outcomes?
I do think it would be a testing where I find out.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's because everything is with the test is that looking at and being able to analyze what comes back. Oh yeah. But it comes from trying. So Data. I think I would actually try it and start to put those moments in there and allow them, because it's not a momentary thing. Realistically, it's like that pause, maybe 2-3 days.
It might be
a month. And it's like, you know what? Let me actually sit on it and see before I start to create solutions for it.
Ooh.
And that's one of the things where I think I'm going to start taking that into consideration, honestly, to where I pause. Wait a minute, you know what? Let me give it a second before I react or think too far or start solving a problem. Just because something arises does not mean it needs to be solved right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it needs to exist.
Yeah. And sometimes maybe, as we're riffing, somebody else can solve it and it grows something in them. Maybe it makes way for the next level of leadership in your organization or communities.
Yeah.
How about that?
100%.
That could be an unintended positive consequence of taking a breath.
No, you're right. You're right.
Could be.
Or somebody loses their job. It's 2 ways it's gonna go. Or somebody gonna lose their job for not picking up. So you're not strong enough to fill my void. Cool. Okay. But
Roger that. Yeah. I see you. Yep. Okay. So if we then circle back to the idea of wisdom and we look at all the ground we've covered, I do feel like one of the wisdoms that is very clear to me is your flexibility, your mental agility in discourse, reflection, decision-making, and growth. Because I just had a conversation with you unlike any of the other conversations I've had on this podcast tour. You were my 33rd podcast guest in 6 days, and none of them have been like this, and none of the others have been like this. Gotcha. And so I actually think—
You say that to everybody?
No. I've never said this.
Okay.
I've literally never said this.
Okay.
You can go listen to all the things. I think maybe what we accidentally did, because I didn't start with an agenda.
Yeah.
I think we accidentally showed wisdom in action.
100%. And it was when, even how the conversation started, this conversation, I thought, I didn't give you answers that I already had. This isn't a conversation that I've had previously. Usually people ask me some of the questions or the topics are kind of like, they fit in a certain box. And I got one of my guys, Marcus, he tells me like, we have to have a refrigerator full of stories.
Yeah.
And examples and messages. Yeah. But in this conversation is a different thing where it literally pulled out when you said earning stripes. On how I earn my stripes. I think that when we look at it and people look and they watch this interview, they will be able to directly see things that they can learn from And how I said, it's an action. Like I learn from other people's actions and experiences, and they actually got to see my experiences, but the blueprint of why. It's not it's not the action that was taken, it's the why. And the framework is the most important, because we can look and learn from what somebody else has done, but when you understand the framework of why it operates that way, everything changes. And I think that one of the things that we covered here and that I feel like we got to actually expand on is like framework of my mental, of my brain, of how I operate and work. And I think that that's one of the reasons and the greatest reason I have the stripes and been able to earn what I've been able to earn and become who I've been able to become as a human being. Not financially, not superficially, like as a human, for me to be able to communicate and be able to express myself and answer questions and have this type of dialogue is because of the framework of which I operate in.
I concur, and I would like to stack. So we learned about your systematic excellence, and then it took us down the path of talking about your brain and its cleverness and why it likes what it likes, and we learned a lot about you. And then when I asked you about the pause as the thing that gets in the way, you literally used the wisdom you'd already taught to test, integrate, and up level and decide on an action forward, which is the exact wisdom you taught in the first part of the interview. And then you showed us through your embodied process how you do that. And so we accidentally proved that the wisdom you shared is accurate for you. I
like this style of conversation.
Well, me too.
I like to actually think. Like, that's one of my biggest things, is that I like to think. I like things to make me have to formulate a response.
Right.
Not, oh yeah, got you. Here goes something
Here's
clever.
Here's the story from Marcus's fridge. We love you, Marcus.
Exactly.
This is not
No, that's definitely funny, because it's so many different things that I speak about fluently. Yeah. And it goes on. But to have to think, like when I have conversations that make me think, and I think that these conversations are super important. Not only for those watching to go and say, okay, wait a minute. If I was in that seat, how would I answer? And also take notes on how somebody pulls and receives what I said. See, some people can look and go, okay, well, he said this at this point and I got it. But then why and how do you have to think, and what do you see to respond and react the way that you did to follow up and make the synopsis that you made and go, well, this is what I see. Because somebody's watching it and goes, I didn't see what she's seen. So how does she have to think, and what's her framework to be able to digest and regurgitate that back out in that manner?
The synthesis. I mean, you know a thing or two about synthesis, my friend.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So here's the thing, listeners. We are at my favorite stage, which, of course, Marcus has no idea what my favorite stage is. Okay. But he's about to find out. Marcus, guess what?
What?
We made it to the end of this conversation. We are now at ease. We're done. We delivered. We absolutely did a great job. And we are now at the feet up. Get yourself your favorite beverage and your favorite piece of food. Let's gather around the fire pit. Oh, and let's take an exhale, because that was awesome. We're at that stage.
Okay.
But hang on, that's not goodbye. Okay. So just come join me at the fire and get real comfy. Put some slippers on if you want. Put some cozy socks on. Put some sweats on. You can stay as you are. Come anywhere you want to.
Okay.
So we're now at the fire. And you know what? There's a few chairs around. And you know who's in those chairs? Our listeners, our beautiful listeners. And we're at the stage of the night where it's nearly over. We're about to close connection in this conversation, but not yet.
Okay.
Because there is one last question.
Okay.
And curious minds want to know. Listeners are leaning forward in their metaphorical chairs on our patio, which is screened in with fireflies outside. It's real nice. Bit of twilight.
Gotcha.
They want to know what last pieces of wisdom or advice you have for them.
We open this up by saying, experience is life's best teacher.
We did.
And we will finish it with, if you don't take action, you will never accomplish anything. Action is the most dynamic thing in skill that you can possess. It's something, action, being able to take action is something that is like, it's earned, not given, because everybody can't take action on the things that they think and the things that they want. They can verbalize them, but taking action on them takes a total different capacity. It takes a total different grit, grind for the things when you want to accomplish something great. You can take action at being mediocre and staying where you're at and staying comfortable. I tell people all the time, I'm going to grow until I die. Most people have already died and they're resting in peace. They found peace in the comfort of where they're at. And even though they're uncomfortable, they operate out of peace.
Familiarity.
And if you operate out of peace, you're resting in it. And if you say rest in peace, it makes people uncomfortable when they say rest in peace. Why? Because you've already died and you're still living. Actions are things that propel you forward, keep you busy, and takes a lot of grit. And so anything in life, if a message I tell people to resonate is that whatever it is that you want to be great at, this is not about business. This is not about building a family. This is not about working out. This is everything in your life, in your mind, in your vision that you want to be great at or you want to accomplish, is that you should take action every single day. It does not have to be monumental, big actionable steps. It just has to be contributing action that compounds to you being better, to you being a better person, a better thinker, a better seer, more experienced. And as you gain more experience, those action steps that at one point took effort will become habit. And they will rely on the discipline that you've now established within yourself because of the habits that you formed. Action will just become a part of your life. And if action becomes a part of your life, greatness is inevitable.
And if I could just do one slight little bit of dusting of glitter on that, your version of greatness is not necessarily, the listener's version of greatness does not need to look like Marcus's. It can look just like your own. You get to sparkle and be your own version of greatness, and that is just right.
Yes.
Marcus, well, this was super fun.
Thank you.
I already don't want this to finish.
Got you.
Thank you for being here, sincerely.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. What a joy. Thanks for being so open to play with all my hypotheses and to go with the flow on that. I truly have never done that before.
If you got tarot cards over there somewhere, just let me know.
I got a what cards?
Tarot cards.
Oh, tarot.
Yeah.
I actually do have something for you that is in that direction.
Okay.
All right, but let's close this up, shall we? I'd like to thank Marcus Barney for joining me today on Wisdom Stripes. In today's episode, we explored his journey from teenage entrepreneur to financial strategist, the powerful work he's doing through Recession-Proof, and his mission to help others transform their financial lives and create generational wealth. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an update. You can follow Marcus by searching @him500, and to stay connected with me, follow @Meg Official on Instagram. Thank you for listening to another episode of Wisdom Stripes. I hope you gained a little wisdom today. My name is Meg Tuohey, and this is Wisdom Stripes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wisdom Stripes. Follow me on @Meg Official and leave a comment and review. I'm looking forward to meeting you here next time on Wisdom Stripes.